Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to talk about a little bit of what I've been learning about life, motherhood, gardening, and marketing. Wow. I trim up my oregano and thyme. I have a little pot here where I've mixed both of them this summer. I got that around June, and I've already trimmed it once for fall. And after I trimmed it, it got cold, and I was watering it quite a bit, and as you can tell, the thyme is rather spindly. So I'm going to trim that back in hopes to kind of get it hardened up. I know. And the oregano has gotten a little long and spindly too, so we're going to do that. Trim up that overwatering, because once the cooler days and shorter cooler days come, you want to probably be putting less water into these so they don't get so spindly. And I have actually started to bring these in, and that's another reason why I'm going to trim them up, because the only space I have right now is on the middle leaf of my dining room table. So I need to keep them kind of hedged in a little box right now, so they're smaller, and I'm going to try to use some trimming techniques that you would maybe bonsai with, but it's just, this is my bonsaiing method. I haven't actually worked with the roots or anything or cut them back. I'm just going to trim them like I learned how to on some videos through bonsai research. So let's get to it. I love to, I'm a little bit of a multitasker, so guilty, but anyway, the one thing I've learned a lot about motherhood and about marketing is one size definitely does not fit all. And while that is very cliche, it's absolutely a tried and true fact of life. In gardening, one size doesn't fit all. While if a large percent of people took an active role in urban agriculture and permaculture instead of spending so much on keeping a nice lawn, we actually grew gardens in the lawns for everyone as a community, then we could have an organic permaculture culture in the US. And that is a goal probably for like at least a large percent of us, is to get to where we are largely self-sustainable within local communities. But at this moment, we're not. And that's why within agriculture, permaculture, and farming, and other parts, it's important to have like multiple ways of farming, because it sustains us, and without that we're not able to sustain ourselves, because we've gotten to a place to where we don't know how to grow our own food. We don't teach our children these things that are important, and we need to reestablish that. And I think it's definitely happening more and more, and that makes me happy, that to see people loving gardening again and really trying to make it to where it's not just about the food, but it's about the connection we have with the food and the people around us, especially trying to know where our food comes from and who has been taking care of it. That's important, and it really helps people's spirits when you give them food and you share with them, and I think it gives you a sense of joy and pride when you know that the food that is on your table and in your stomach was grown by you or by someone you really know. And I think it's definitely part of that mindful diet habit, and it's definitely great. So, as I said, with farming, the reason why it's one size fits all is not true is because we're not ready to like try methods. And even if we were ready to say all of us be in permaculture or urban permaculture and eco or local foods, organic foods, if we were all doing that, it still wouldn't be one size fits all, because we need a lot of diversity to make up our diet. We need seasonal eating. We need, and not everybody likes to grow the same thing, and not everybody's good at growing the same thing, so that's why it's so great. And when it comes, and the parenting is the same way. Not each baby is the same. Not every parent is the same, and methods that work for one parent and one child definitely won't work. And I know that's so weird, and like you'll kind of be like, yeah, I understand when you're not a parent, but once you become a parent, you're like, okay, yeah, it's not. And even like with one baby, they change so much. I only have a 9-month old, so I'm just at learning and taking in this concept, but it is so true because he's changed so much within the whole of 9 months. It's crazy to me, and he goes through ups and downs because he's learning, and it's just wonderful to watch him explore his world. And yeah, it's a handful sometimes, but it's exciting because it's always new, and and it's definitely difficult to keep up with him, right? So yeah, as far as, let's see, we went over farming and parenting. That's the little two. Okay, marketing. Marketing is not a one size fits all. That's a given. Marketing changes so fast. The industry, the market, what's in demand, and what people like, what people are good at. Like I said and illustrated earlier, it's really a diverse culture, and we can't all be good at one thing. It's just that simple. You can't wear all the hats, even though you try, because trust me, I've tried, and you just spread yourself too thin to where you're not gonna be good at anything if you try everything. So, as I think someone said recently that I listened to on a marketing video I watched, is you can only chase one hare. The man who chases multiple hares will get none. So think of the skill or trade you're learning as a hare that you're hunting in the forest. And if you try to track down all of them at once, or you get distracted by each hare that keeps popping up, you're just going to be chasing your tail in the forest all day long. So we need to be mindful of where we're putting our energy and what our goals are, so that we aren't constantly doing these. And the great thing is about not chasing hares and not being able to do it all yourself, when you get help from people, when you get these, admit you need help from others, which is one of the last steps in AA. And the last steps of recovery is asking for help from someone else or helping other people. If you can't admit to needing help, people aren't going to want to be around you. And if you can't be helped, how can you help others? because it takes a person strong enough to ask for help from others, then they can learn to help others by asking for help themselves. And the great thing about not only, excuse me while I turn my bush. Double tantrums. Jesus. I'm as bad as a teenager, but it's okay. We all have our little habits and quirks. Okay, so what was I saying before I got flustered? Asking for help. So the great part of asking for help and needing help from others is when you're in different industries, not only do you have when you have this connection and interlacing of help to support you of these people, these connections and relationships you've made, you can get help for your business from them. And not only can you get help from business from them, you can refer people to them, and you are that much more help to others because you're making referrals, not only to your connection, but to the new business you're working with. And that makes you a highly valued person. And it's not only in business, but also in your relationships as a mother. The more you can give to the other women in your life and share with them, of course, if they're opening and willing and asking for help, which is another important part. Another video I'm going to come up with is the Istp and learning about mentorship and mentoring. That's coming up, so stay tuned. But when you are able to provide those connections for others in your motherhood, in your gardening, in your cooking, in your business, in everything that you do, in health and fitness, all of these things, that when you are able to go back and look and see, I have these relations and I have this knowledge that can help you with your relationships to people. It's like that pyramid. You have your, what is it, cornerstones. You have these cornerstones with the relationship you have to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your health and your wealth. And when you have these things in proportion to your life, then your life is abundant and your life blossoms and bears fruit. And it's just a wonderful thing to learn that not one size fits all. And even though we would like everyone to be at a certain level of mental health, emotional health, physical health, we still are at a place to grow. And just because you think it's the best way, and maybe it is the best way, but sometimes our learning curve is way up here and other people are down here. And when we try to come at this level of understanding when they're down here, we lose communication, and we also lose understanding. And when we lose understanding, people get offended and get hurt. And it's not what we want to do. It's not that we intend to hurt others or that we're trying to be offensive or just triggering. It's remembering just to come from a place of love and compassion, because we were once down here, and we need to remember and understand how we got here and the stages that we developed just to grow into the person we are today. And through that, we can definitely help people, is through definitely having the understanding that one size does not fit all, and that we should be able to remember that we're all different people and we are all different personalities. And even a single personality can be so diverse just because of how they were raised and who they were raised by and the timing. and remembering that communication helps so much, and sometimes it is very hard to just sit back and listen because it can be offensive to us too. But when you come from that place of love, then it's a lot easier. And I feel like in relationships, when you have a relationship, like partnership like I have, that's what I'm talking about, it's very difficult because our communication styles butts heads so much. Like, it's funny because I can say something or he can say something, and in our heads it'll mean one thing, but it actually doesn't have that meaning. So we like are taking on personal baggage instead of actually clarifying. So understanding that our differences, our communication, having humility, and asking for help and referring others is that wide network. So remember to have understanding. And thank you so much for listening. That's all I have for today, unless I decide to record the mentorship video for the Istp or TI Hero, and talking about that too. Thank you again. You guys have a lovely day. I'm only halfway done with this plant, so I might just record that video. We'll see. This is Victoria, VIP, signing off. Oh, please like the video.